And it's kind of hard to quantify why, but I'll take a stab at it. There's something in me that is really, really satisfied by taking an idea and grappling with it and then putting it on the printed page. Um, I've pretty much always enjoyed reading, and I don't really know where my interest in writing came from, but I've almost always enjoyed it. I actually was trying to write little short stories when I was like 7 or 8 years old, and thankfully I was encouraged in that in some regard. But it's almost like an emotional or psychological high that I get when I'm creating something. I especially enjoy writing fiction, but even the nonfiction writing, I enjoy the challenge of clearly conveying an idea without making it needlessly dull. Oh, I'm so sorry. Ugh. Without making it needlessly dull or overly repetitive or dry. But the fiction I just love. And I actually have had some of my fiction published. I think there's also an element of living vicariously through my characters because for me that's great fun. Creating what I consider to be really cool characters and making them do stuff that I consider to be really, really cool. It is challenging, and it's especially challenging given the fact that I have made more money writing nonfiction than I have writing fiction, but that emotional and psychological release, that emotional and psychological high, is very satisfying. It's very engaging. And one of the things that's interesting now when I write, which I try to do it as much as possible. One of the things I really enjoy about writing now is I no longer feel a need to necessarily try to please anyone, nor do I feel a need to heave to a code of literary conduct, if you will. And I don't know where that came from, but I now feel like I can just go, just put the words on the page. I try to clear my head before I begin writing, and then just let. I'm sorry, my allergies. Just let. It's almost like I try to let the characters tell me what to do once I've created them in my head, as opposed to me telling them what to do. And as I said, I have had fiction published. I hope to have more fiction published. And I'm also learning screenplay format, which is challenging. If I'm working fiction, I just let the story flow through me. Whereas if I'm doing screenplay or teleplay, I've got to block it a certain way. I've got to make it look a certain way. It's got to be clear on the page so that someone can read it or take direction from it. But as I learn that format, it's almost as satisfactory as straight fiction, because I don't know, it's a little bit hard to describe, but it's almost like a chemical release of the pleasure stuff in the brain. I can feel when a story's going along well, and it's engaging to me as the writer. It's engaging to me as the editor, and I hope that it'll be engaging to the reader. But it's just great fun. Again, I cannot necessarily quantify it, but it's a fun feeling. And if it wasn't fun, well, what's the point in doing it, right? We all have to do stuff that stinks in the game of life. So why not do something that give you some pleasure, given the fact that you know over time that more than half your time is going to be stuck with you doing stuff that you just don't want to be bothered with. So the the chemical thing is just fantastic. The joy is just fantastic, and I'll get back to you on this, but I really have difficulty quantifying it. But it is real. It's real nonetheless. So.